I want to make some dust collection for my workshop, so I've only got a reasonably small workshop. It's about 18 foot by 7, so grateful for it, but it could be bigger. And I've got a few ideas for some dust collection. And the materials I'm going to use for this project, as I said at the start, it's going to be scrap. So I'm just going to be using some 12mm shutterboard ply, really cheap stuff. I'm going to be using some, I think that's 4 or 6mm hardboard there, and I'm probably going to be trying to use this. So I've found it's quite complicated trying to find connectors and pipe that fits and is cheap. This is grey water waste pipe from the caravan, and I had a quick look and it mostly fits in a standard connector. So I'm going to try that, and what I haven't had to do is just put a bit of tape around it if it didn't fit, and that's a standard 36mm waste pipe, I think, could be wrong. Make dust collectors for is this DIY belt sander that I built recently, and also I've actually got one for this, but that's an experimental one here. So this is a 6x48 belt sander that I made. Both of these are from plans by Matthias Wandel. Really good YouTube channel, and this was the experimental one I made. So I'm only using thin pipe because this is fine dust, and it's not even fixed on. This is actually sat just on top of here, and it works quite well. You can see it's been collecting quite a lot of dust, and very little, if any, is actually getting through. And well, that is a cooker filter, dust filter. I thought I'd try that. So just one of them things you put in your cooker hood. Certainly we have those in the UK, and this seems quite effective. I'm getting things like where I've sanded stuff with paper on, it is picking stuff up, it's starting to build up dust in there. And as a cheap method of using fans, I found these on eBay. These are boiler fans out of water heaters, and they cost me anything between £3 and about £10 plus delivery, so really cheap. And they're okay. I've got these as well, which are really small. These are actually quite expensive, but these are Hawker Siddeley fans, but they're only 20 watt. Not entirely sure they're powerful enough. But what I'm going to be experimenting with for this dust collector, I've got a load of old plywood I'm going to use. I found this, I think it's an Audi particle filter, and it was £3.99 off eBay. And that actually comes in, if you have a look here, 15 inches. So yeah, I'm working in inches because it's just easy to divide by 3. So what I've done here is I've marked every 5 inches, and I'm going to try and cut this up, and then I've got enough for 3 very small fine dust filters, which I'm going to have on the back of that, which I have got a dust extractor port on there. And then I'll probably use the other one for this, because this is actually way too big, but it was only an experiment. So these haven't cut too well, but I think they'll be okay. I'm only going to be using, I could use them at the top actually. I think that'll be alright. I'll give it a try and see if we get any blow by. So it's probably going to be something along this shape. I'm going to cut that down there, so that forms a box, and I'll put another side here. And then what's going to happen is the filter is going to sort of sit offset from centre about there. And then I'll have a hole cut in here, and this is where I'll attach the motor, or the fan, sorry, which is probably going to be that one or that one. And then I'll have the dust intake there, which will connect to there or there. And then it'll draw the air through there into this. Hopefully this filter should work, because it's a cabin filter out of a car. And then that'll draw clean air through there. And that'll do and then I'll seal the bottom obviously, and then I'll have a clip on top so that I can empty it. Okay, I've cut all the wood down, and I've just clamped it together just to see if it fits, and that fits in there reasonably well. I think that'll be fairly snug. And as I said, I'm making this very, very small, so hopefully there'll be just enough space on here for this fan. And then there'll be a nice little dust collection area here where I'll drill this hole. I think what I'll do now is just glue and brad nail it together. after quite a bit of messing around, I managed to get that fitted. I've also damaged that, so I'm probably going to have to just thicken that up a little bit. Also, I'll get some loss of pressure through that, which is a bit of a shame, but it is only an experiment really, so I'm not too worried. I've had to extend the base out because obviously this is a lot heavier than this, so it wants to tip that way. So I'm just going to create this base here, attach it to this, and then that should stabilise that a little bit more. Right, we'll do a suction test. Not much air coming out of there, which is good. And it's really good. It's not fantastic, but it's going to give me some suction. I'll probably seal that off a little bit better. So I've just repaired where it delaminated there, so that's just gluing up for a minute, and I'm just more roughly the centre on here, and then what I'm going to do is drill a 35mm hole using this Forstner bit straight through there, and then I'll have to file that out a bit because the pipe that I'll be using, which is falling on the floor, is 36mm, so I shall then push that through there. And to prevent tear out when I drilled this hole, I used a backing piece which enabled me to have a nice clean cut on the back. So I glued these pieces in, glue's now dried. I also put this at the bottom here because that's a bit of a rough cut there, so I just wanted to prevent the dust or reduce the dust that can get through the bottom there, so I've just put that there and it's done. So I've connected up this waste pipe, just had to wrap a bit of tape around there to get a tighter fit, and the same there. This goes into the back of this sander. It all works. Now I'm going to try some sanding, see what dust it picks up. Got the dust collector pretty clean in there, so I should be able to see if it's picking anything up. I'm just going to use some MDF. You can see there is some there, not a lot, so I'm going to go and open up the sander and take a look. It hasn't picked up a lot, so you can see with this on now, there is suction there, but that's probably more to do with my dust collection on the sander not being fantastic. But if you look, it's picking up the dust pretty well. I did recently put that there to try and stop the dust going up here, but mostly it gets collected here. And I think that's because I've got a bit of a gap here. The suction's not getting through. I think it's just getting sucked through there, the areas. So I'm still pretty pleased with this, but I probably need to do a bit more work on that. But overall, I think this is a great little build. It took me about an hour and a half in total, apart from waiting for glue to dry. Maybe a bit less. Well, I've tweaked it a little bit. I've actually fitted it behind the drill press now, which needed a bit of cleanup. It's still a hell of a mess there, but it's out of the way. I've also tweaked this a little bit and this a little bit, and it's now working a bit better. bit coming out, but there's a lot less than there was, so it's sucking more of it through. So I'll call that finished for now until the next experiment.